My name is Dr. Victor Noruwa. My journey with LAPO can be looked at in two chapters. Chapter 1 started in September 2001. Talking about how LAPO started, I think Dr. Noruwa also will be in a better position to answer. But having worked with LAPO all the years, I have also become very familiar with how LAPO started. It actually started sometime in 1987, somewhere in Washington, where the founder, as the founder called him, then gave out, enlisted 3 clients to whom he gave 100 naira loan at that time. And so those 3 clients repaid, and then subsequently others were coming in from the repayment and then going to be paid. It started all the way metamorphosing to Benin, and then the story you can see today. Okay, LAPO at the time I joined had a lot of challenges. One having to do with poor loan repayment, a kind of poor repayment culture among clients. And good enough, I came in at a time where the MicroStart project was already on. Started in 2000, in the year 2000, and I came in 2001. So one of the branches that was created that I had to run was a product of the MicroStart project, which was in Abraka. After then, there were 3 new branches created: Abraka, Warri, and Saple. So I handled Abraka, and looking at the repayment culture, being these new branches were supposed to bring a different flavor into the LAPO space, and that flavor expected to be to change that narrative of people generally have this poor culture. If it is properly run well, people will learn to borrow and will also pay as advantage. And I am glad that I was able to run the branch as at that time for 12 consecutive months without recording a non-performing loan in any of those months, which actually, to me, gave that picture that it is possible to give out loan to these poor people and they will actually pay back. For me, the key moments that shaped LAPO into what it is today somewhat is at the point when the expansion projects picked up. Before then, LAPO operated largely in Edo State, Delta, down to part of Nasarawa and part of Abuja. But then that key moment of transitioning beyond this point, to say, okay, let's venture into Lagos actually brought a kind of revolution, because at that time, the rate and level of expansion was very high. Good enough at that time as well, we also have, LAPO had the microstat projects sometime around 2000. And then in the 2001, when I came, it was basically expansion. So that microstat project actually helped LAPO to accelerate. And so that acceleration took a higher momentum when we started the expansion to Lagos. And the story continued from there. And that revolution actually brought a LAPO to what you see. It's really been massive. It's really been massive. If you're looking in terms of votes, I will tell you that it's actually massive. Way back, sometime around 2003, in terms of, say, portfolio, LAPO as you know it today was basically one, which is the LAPO MFI, LAPO as a financial institution. Total loan portfolio as at that period was about was in the neighborhood of about 190 billion. But you know the story is quite different because we are talking in terms of hundreds of billions. You're talking in terms of billions in the hundreds when you bring all the aspects of LAPO together. And so it's not, when you talk about the difference, is like they say, the difference is actually 7. The difference is clear from where we started and what it is today. It's really, really massive. LAPO as a day as a single unit, which was the credit book aspect. It basically covers those states, Delta. I initially mentioned national, it was actually Kogi, not national, going way in Lokoja. So we had those states, Delta, Kogi states, and then Abuja. And then later the transition into Lagos, and then Ibadan. And you can imagine today that LAPO basically spread across the nation. For me, there are quite a lot. But there is one that sits with me, that sat with me over the years. Going back to Abraka, I remember having a client there. This was a woman who used to fry plantain and yam cheese by the roadside. And then eventually when she joined LAPO, she had a small shed behind her where some of these bike riders in the morning come to buy just basic food. They buy akara, rupar, later she's added other things and all that. And then after some cycles of love, one day she joyfully happily told me and said, "Look, manager," because I was a brand manager then, and she said, "Don't you see that I have expanded my shop?" And at this time, I think she had basically collected, maybe she was on the second or third cycle, loan cycle. And you could see her beaming with smile, because within this period, her business only grew. It grew away from the roadside to now having a restaurant. And aside that, she was able to access asset loan to acquire some business assets to support her business. And then often the time when I go to a shop, because they also had a group there who could call the union as at that time. Uh, when they meet, I visit the union, you see the husband around because it was their house, and you could see a sense of fulfillment in the marriage because the family was, you could see the impacts in that family. And to tell you where the kind of people were dealt with. When I now told this lady that, look, we wanted to tell your story. We want to tell your story to others. We want to put it in your magazine. So I said, we need to take your photograph. So she said, no, you cannot take my photograph. You can take the photograph of my shop. I said, why? She said, her mother, I want her never to enter into a photograph. I said, but you gave us your passport. She said, that's passport. But to enter picture, to enter photo, that tells you the kind of mentality, kind of background that she came in from. And then you now have to reorientate and educate such people. And then lifting her, at least at that time now, the joy originated beyond just having the money to spend. In the case of now, the children no longer run back home. They say they drove us from school because we don't have, we are not paid school fees, or I don't have this literature, I don't have that one. Teachers say we should come back and bring this. It's for when you see, that's a kind of fulfillment. The husband is no longer having high blood pressure because how do I fend for my family? Because the family was not taken care of. Low as things may look, but you can see the level of impact that they can now also be of help to other people. Like I said, going by my background as an economist, my LAPO's job, LAPO, working with LAPO, actually resonates with my background as a developmental economist. And so the approach LAPO takes in alleviating poverty seems to synchronize with my perception and understanding of developmental economics. And so seeing it at play beyond the classroom, it gives me sense of satisfaction. Because when you see people being lifted beyond where they were, and now they can fend for themselves, and they can also help and assist other people, it brings me a lot of fulfillment. And so that particular focus, and the fact that LAPO has not changed that orientation, they have not died because we need more profit now, let's go into the commercial bank and all that. As long as they structure that goal of that developmental side, trying to see how to help, like I talked about the backward integration, financial inclusion, wanting to bring those people that are left out of the former financial system, which for me is a passion. And so, given that LAPO is in the forefront of leading that drive, and so it basically aligns with me. And so my friendship or marriage or relationship with LAPO is hinged on that. And so it's more like, look, I have found a partner that will help me drive my vision and my dream. A lot. One is the simplest approach with which Dr. Godwin and Diamonso have taken LAPO. I've been accosted by some other persons at different times saying, oh, we love what you're doing with LAPO. We love what LAPO is doing. And we see that We have also worked with them. Can you help us replicate LAPO? I smile, and it's not difficult for me to tell them that, look, it is not what you see on the surface. If you are taking LAPO from what you see on the, like someone once asked me years back, and said, look, are you related to this man? Talking about Dr. Victor Noruwa. I said, no. He said, any connection? I said, no. He said, oh, if you get someone that can pay you 2 or 3 times what you currently earn, will you leave and come and work for us? We want you to replicate that. And I told her, I said, look, it's not about the things. Rather, it is about the vision, the mindset of the goal. Do you understand the business we want to venture in? If your push is about the profit making, the profiteering, then I don't think I can work with that. But what I've seen with this man is he doesn't take LAPO as a means of self-enrichment, but he seems to have a drive to actually, not in the popular Nigerian saying of politicians saying that they are here for the people, and whereas they're actually here for their pocket. But in his own case, he has actually demonstrated over time that it is not about his pockets, but this vision that he had that made him to leave the public service to say, look, I want to work with these people. That same vision, I have seen it through. And that's in one leadership style. So that's why my life and work with LAPO also comes from a selfless approach. It is not necessarily about me, but that the vision of this institution is seen to the future. You know, today that LAPO has become not just really a happy pride, but rather a national pride. Because as LAPO is today, it is actually a national pride in the financial sector. If you're asking you find out from the regulators, they would tell you that LAPO, in the space of the microfinance or financial inclusion, LAPO for them is a national pride. Now, as LAPO grows, obviously, we have had generations, and we're still going to have more generations. What has kept this vision, what has kept LAPO to what it needs to do, is because the driver, the promoter, and the people that he has been able to bring together, and he has also developed and trained, had a singular purpose, a mindset of the organization. And what we preach is the ownership spirit. And if LAPO is going to continue into the future, what every employee should cultivate is the ownership mindset. Not just what can LAPO give me, rather what can I give, what can I contribute, how can I contribute my own quota to ensure that generations after me will still meet this institution.